It's now time to turn our attention to the two-stage completion methods. So these are ones that will complete when two previous stages complete. And we're going to start first by talking about the methods that will be called when both of two previous stages complete. Remember, this is like a kind of a logical conjunction, an and. You're kind of anding the results together. So we'll start off by talking about thenCombine. You'll get a chance to use thenCombine in assignment 4. And as you can see, it kind of merges two things together like a traffic sign. It applies a BiFunction that takes two parameters and returns a result to two previous stage results when they finish running, typically asynchronously. There's actually two completable futures that are used here. The first one is whatever completable future is used to invoke thenCombine. And we don't actually show that, but it's implied because thenCombine is a non-static method. So it's always called in the context of an object, which would be a completable future. And the second one is the one that's passed in as the first parameter to thenCombine. So this is another completable future, which is a completion stage, which is the interface that completable future implements. So it takes two different completable futures, and it returns a result that contains the result of the action. So it returns a completable future that, when triggered, when completed, will return the results of calling that BiFunction. And notice that with thenCombine, that BiFunction is run synchronously in whatever thread is calling it, which is typically the calling thread that was used previously up the stage, in the previous completion stage, in the chain of calls that are being made. So you can think about thenCombine performing a simple reduction of two previous stages. So it's like two streams coming together, although they don't really work as streams, but it's reducing stuff. You typically use thenCombine to join two paths that are running asynchronously. So here's an example, not necessarily the best example, but just an example. We're going to have two completable futures. Let's say that the first one is going to asynchronously multiply two big fractions, and the second one is going to asynchronously divide two big fractions. And as you can see here, after those things start up and run, we then call thenCombine on the two completable futures. And when they're both done, then we go ahead and add these things together. And I'll show you some other more interesting use cases in other examples, but this is a pretty good one. We want to do something when two asynchronous operations complete. Now, if you have a long duration operation, like you're going to be doing something that does more than adding, but you're going to go and compute, I don't know, some kind of regression analysis or whatever you might do on the results of multiplying and dividing two big fractions, then you can use thenCombineAsync. So thenCombineAsync will run this long duration BiFunction parameter in some other thread in whatever fork join pool or whatever pool of threads you've got. For example, the common fork join pool. In either case, when things are done and the results are finished, you can then print out the results. So you can see here we use thenExcept to print the results out. Remember, thenExcept is this side effect completion stage method that completes when one thing finishes. So that explains thenCombine. We'll talk about the OR version here in just a second, but I just wanted you to first see how you do essentially conjunction, having something triggered when other things finish. And again, you can either do that synchronously or asynchronously to do the combining of the results with the action that comes through.